Yo, how is it going, Bears fans? I'm your host, Chris. Today, I am with my co-host, Jaylen, and joined by a very special guest from the Bears Brothers podcast. We got Nicholas Moreano on. How you doing, guys?
Doing great. I'm happy to be here.
It's awesome, dude. Jaylen, how you doing?
Great, and I can't believe I'm talking to you. I'm still shocked.
You guys are too much. Thank you.
All right, but we're really happy to have Nick here today. I would like to say, if you don't watch their podcast, first off, it's incredible. But I'm going to leave the link to their podcast in the description. They're paving the path, I guess you could say, for successful podcasts on YouTube. I think I've watched them for years. They're awesome guys. So make sure to go check their podcast out. But we're excited to have Nick on today. We are going to be talking all NFL draft today. Just running through some topics, some quick little things. Shouldn't take too long. Not like the Bears Brothers podcast where they're like an hour and a half. But we'll take about 15, 20 minutes of your time today. So we're going to start off simple, easy thing. I'm going to go around the table. We're just going to start off talking about if you're Ryan Pace and tomorrow night you've got this 8th pick, what are you doing with it? Nick, what do you got, man? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I had my mock draft come out, final mock draft yesterday, and we did the podcast on Monday, but I really like UTSA's Marcus Davenport. I know that's a guy that maybe people are not very high on just because he played at a smaller Division I school, but man, he's got all this raw talent, all these physical abilities, the 40-yard dash coming in at, what was the time here, 4.58 40-yard dash, and it's funny, I read an article. He's actually faster than Bradley Chubb, and they made a bet on it. So he's $50 richer now that he beat Chubb in that 40-yard dash. But such raw athletic ability. You give a Vic Fangio in that Bears defense, this guy could be molded into a destructive pass rusher. So that's the guy I went with. Obviously, there's a lot of good names there, but in years past, Ryan Pace has gone for those athletic guys. You look at Kevin White, Leonard Floyd, even Mitch Trubisky being an athletic quarterback. This fits the mold what Ryan Pace could do with number 8, and he has a couple of names on the board, but I think Marcus Davenport might be that guy.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he meet with the Bears today? Or I was reading about a pre-draft meeting with him today, I think.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was today, but
yeah.
he met with
Yeah, he
the
definitely
Bears.
did meet with them. I was reading about that today. I don't know much about him. I know a lot about Chubb, but Jaylen, who you got at number 8, or what are you doing with that pick?
With number 8, if Quinn Nelson is not on the board, I'm going to take Tremaine Edmonds. Great linebacker, could come in and play inside linebacker or outside linebacker alongside Floyd. But I feel like he's very raw. He's the same thing as Marcus Davenport. And he's young coming into draft day. He's going to be 19 and not 20 until early May. So I feel like he can be somebody that Fangio can come and work on and developing him to another monster of the midway.
Man, dude, for me it's tough, but I straight up have to go with Quentin Nelson. I'm going to disregard trading up or trading back. We'll talk about trading up and trading back if you're Ryan Pace later on. But I just think Nelson combined with white hair and long is destructive. I think it obviously helps Trubisky. That means we can move Cronus Grasu around a lot. And he was a rookie, I think, 2 years ago and got hurt last year. I think a torn ACL. He's out of Oregon. No one really knows what can happen as far as he goes. But Nelson's such a versatile guy, known for being able to open up those running lanes and those gaps. For Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen, and the way that Matt Nagy's going to use that offense, I just see that as irresistible. I think Matt Nagy's licking his chops at the option of that. But yeah, Davenport, man, I'm surprised by that. But that's an interesting pick. Okay.
Yeah, in my first mock draft, I actually had Minkah Fitzpatrick, so I've been going back and forth, and it was funny because it was back in January when I was on CLTV with Jared Payton, and they asked me the question, who do you guys seeing the Bears taking? And, obviously you throw out Quentin Nelson.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley was a big name at the time.
At that time,
because
yeah.
They didn't have any wide receivers. But then Marcus Davenport was a guy I mentioned because this is a guy I've just been watching for a while now. And it's funny, full circle, a couple days before the draft, I come right back to Marcus Davenport. But, yeah, he's the guy that like I said, has a lot of potential. We'll actually see if Pace goes that route, but wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Yeah, so, by the way, yeah, I was about to mention that. What's Peyton's son's name again?
Jared.
Okay, yeah, Jared Payton. One article I did read on him with Quentin Nelson is he was one of them in attendance at Quentin Nelson's pro day, and he went up to Quentin Nelson and said, hey, which team do you want to draft you? He said the Chicago Bears. So it also seems like that could be a match made in heaven. So moving on, we are going to talk about if we're Ryan Pace, and this is an unrealistic situation, but it could get some interesting insight. So Ryan Pace said yesterday in his press conference, he said, hey, I've learned that being aggressive in the draft isn't essentially the bad thing, and he acknowledged that if there's a player that he wants to move up for, that he is going to most definitely do so. But he didn't really talk much about trading down, but I'm not going to leave that out of the question since it's Ryan Pace. No one knew that Trubisky was coming last year. I was talking to Nick before Jaylen hopped on, and he said, heck, I didn't know it was happening at all. But if you're Ryan Pace and you're forced to move up or down, are you moving up? Are you moving down? And for who? Nick, what do you got?
Yeah, so if Ryan Pace, like, if he has that conviction, we've seen it before in previous drafts, if he likes the guy, he's going to move up. I think Bradley Chubb is the guy that you go and get. Obviously, that would be addressing a huge need for the Bears at edge rusher because opposite of Leonard Floyd, there really isn't a reliable guy out there. So if the Bears do move up, you get Chubb. You have Floyd and Chubb coming off the edge. That's a dangerous duo right there. But that's definitely a guy if the Bears are seeing, okay, who can I move up for? Who's going to be available? Who's worth moving up for? And for how much? For the right price. I think Chubb's definitely would be the guy. Quinn Nelson's another one. I don't know if they'd move up for him. I think it might be tough because he is a guard, but he's renowned to be a generational talent. A guy that's probably going to be in the Pro Bowl years and years to come. But if I had to put my money on it for a guy that Ryan Pace could move up for, it definitely would be Bradley Chubb.
All right, Jaylen, what do you got?
I wouldn't mind Pace trading up for like a Bradley Chubb because that's really the only person in that's top 5 talent that we would really need on our team. But if I was Pace, if there's nobody on the board that he likes, like a Quinn Nelson or Tremaine Edmonds, I could see him trading back, trying to get some more picks because from the Mitchell Trubisky trade. Because only in this draft we only have 7 picks, and if we trade up into the top 5 or top 6, anywhere ahead of us, we have to be giving them more picks than what we can really afford right now. So.
Okay, yeah, it's tough for me, honestly. I said in the mock draft, Jaylen knows this, a few weeks ago, that I'd trade back, try to draft someone like a Calvin Ridley in picks, say, like 12 through 18, I think somewhere where he could fall. I definitely don't think Ridley is someone who should be picked at 8, but I wouldn't mind seeing Ridley fall. If we could somehow trade back with possibly Buffalo or maybe even New England, if New England wants to move up and say a Josh Rosen's available at number 8, that would definitely be an ideal situation if we could get somehow 22 and 12. I wouldn't mind a little Calvin Ridley, Joshua Jackson out of Iowa. Nick, shout out Iowa. Wouldn't mind that. I've watched Josh Jackson for years. I'm a huge Hawkeye fan, as I said when we did our mock drafts on the last podcast. But Josh Jackson, great quarterback. Also cornerback. Also Isaiah Oliver, not a bad choice out of Colorado as well. Moving on to our next subject. This is just a quick little, probably one answer thing. What do you guys think the Bears, what's the most important thing they need to address in the draft?
I think for me, especially in those first 2 rounds, it's going to probably be a pass rusher. I think if you wait any longer than that, if you go with the next pick being at 105 in the 4th round, the talent's going to be a drop-off there, and you don't know what exactly you're getting. It's either a guy has maybe some injury issues or he hasn't produced enough, on the field at whatever respective college he was at. But I think within the first 2 rounds, expect that edge rusher position to be addressed. Okay.
Jaylen, what do you think?
I feel I agree with Nick here with it being edge rusher. With us cutting Pernell McPhee and Willie Young, there's no really anybody other than Leonard Floyd at that outside linebacker position, and I feel like we can't trust Leonard Floyd right now since he hasn't started over 12 games in both of his seasons he's been playing. So I say edge rusher.
Yeah, I'd also agree with the edge rusher point. I do like that the Bears picked up Aaron Lynch. I definitely think he can bring some pressure off the edge if Vic Fangio can, quote, rejuvenate him, as he said. Man, it's tough, dude. I don't know who I'd pick. I like Arden Key a lot in the 2nd round out of LSU. Or trading up for Chubb. That's also a very viable option. Man, dude, the offensive line is always, there's so many different rotations that we have. So that's also something that's just picking at my side. But I think edge rusher for sure. Someone to pair up with Floyd would definitely work well. So
I think before you continue there, in Will's mock draft, who also does the Bears Brothers with me, he had Lorenzo Carter, and that's a guy that I had in my first mock draft. He's also goes to Georgia. He's like a Leonard Floyd, but bigger, faster, and stronger. He doesn't have the pass rushing technique as Floyd did when he was coming out of college in Georgia. But, man, that's a guy, let's say the Bears do go, Quinn Nelson falls to him at 8. You go round 2, and Lorenzo Carter is there. That'd be a great pickup for the Bears. You address your 2 biggest needs on the team, and you get a guy with Leonard Floyd and Carter there, familiarity right there. 2 Georgia Bulldogs coming at opposing quarterbacks. I would like that a lot. So maybe that's another. I mean, obviously, I'm sticking with that pass rusher mentality within the first 2 rounds for the Bears, but there's options. I just want to see. It's going to be interesting how it all plays out because one trade in this draft could just everything can go out of whack. Players are going to be there maybe in later rounds. But yeah, those are some guys that I'm just looking at.
Now, Nick, I would like to ask, what do you think about the discussion between Tremaine Edwards and Roquan Smith?
Yeah, so it's funny because I was actually thinking about that all day today at work because it was a pretty slow day. So all I was thinking about was the draft, with especially it being tomorrow. But, I'm going to have to go with Tremaine Edmonds. And the only reason is just there's so much upside with this guy. And just watching his film, you could tell he's raw. You could tell he's got that ability, though, to become whatever you want him to be. Obviously, he played in the inside position at Virginia Tech. But there are times where he's on the outside and he's just bull rushing people. Imagine when he starts to learn these techniques with these different spin moves, in and out moves, rip moves, all that. That could be a guy he's been compared now, and this, even being in the right vicinity of being compared to this guy, but Brian Urlacher was a name on NFL.com that they put out as a comparison. So that's great praise right there. But I'm going to have to go with Tremaine Edmonds. I think Roquan Smith's a great guy. Yeah. The sideline speed is insane. He can get back in coverage ability. That's what you need in the NFL now. Little undersized. I saw a couple of games, especially, I think it was the SEC, or it was a national championship against Alabama, where if offensive linemen did get their hands on Roquan, I mean, they were able to push him back. But he's got so much instinct, so much speed, so much talent that I think he's going to be a great player wherever he goes. I'm just going to go with Tremaine Edmonds over him.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like Jaylen's a little bit distracted right now, but Nick and I will carry on. So it's a really interesting draft, I think, this year as far as the quarterback situation goes, because you got these 4 great quarterbacks, and I don't want to count out Lamar Jackson, but I'm going to count out Lamar Jackson. You've got Josh Rosen, you got Josh Allen, you got Sam Darnold, and you have Baker Mayfield. Now, there's been discussion over the past few weeks. I feel like all those names have flown by the Browns, and now they're somehow saying Baker Mayfield at number 1, which I think is crazy that it's come to it the night before the draft. If one of the quarterbacks falls to 8, are you more enticed to trade back, Nick?
It depends who's coming up to go get him. I know Buffalo, I think, sitting at 11 or 12 right there. You're moving back only, 4 spots at the most, and then you're still able to get probably – Ryan Pace said he has 8 guys on the board. You're still going to get one of those guys. Yeah. And if you're going to pick up some extra picks that you're going to need moving forward, if you can get a 3rd-round pick, which the Bears –
I was about to say.
I wish the Bears would have one right now moving in this draft. But that is enticing. One of those quarterbacks are on the board. You have quarterback-need teams. There are definitely quarterback-need teams right now in Buffalo, if that's the case, or even Miami. I think they're at 11 12. Yeah. I think that's what the order is right now. I would definitely look at it because you're still going to get one of those 8 guys that Ryan Pace supposedly has. And remember, Ryan Pace could just be throwing smoke screens saying he has 8 guys there, bringing in all these prospects just to make teams thinking, they brought in Marcus Davenport today? Are they going to get him? Well, it's Ryan Pace now. No one knew Trubisky was happening. But again, if that scenario plays out where there's a quarterback at 8, or there's a quarterback still, if someone wants to trade up for 8 and you can move back a couple spots,
get a 3rd
Ryan Pace is going to have a tough decision to make because I think he might do that.
All right, Jaylen, what do you think? Are you moving back if one of those quarterbacks is on the board?
Of course, to acquire more picks, to get more talent for our football team. Right now, I think we're not that far away from being a contending team or to be contending for the AFC North right now. So, I will most definitely trade back.
Okay, so later we are going to talk about Ryan Pace's 8 names that he mentioned yesterday. But I think that one of these following 4 players I'm going to mention, if we say traded back with Buffalo and we got the 12th pick, I think Roquan Smith, Tremaine Edmonds, Denzel Ward, or Minkah Fitzpatrick, I can't see it in any situation in which if one of those quarterbacks is available, that those guys aren't off the board. So I think if you traded back, I'm just as confident in Denzel Ward as I am Minkah Fitzpatrick. Edmonds and Roquan Smith is too much of a toss-up for me. They'd both be great Bears. So I think trading back, we could acquire another pick, say, hop back into the 3rd round, and you've seen how great Ryan Pace has been after the 1st round, man. We got Tariq Cohen. We've got what are some of our notable 8-round picks? We got Whitehair 2nd round, I think.
Yeah, so you had Jordan Howard in the fifth a couple years ago, Eddie Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson.
There are guys that he's hit on later on in the draft.
Did he draft? Did Pace draft Nick Kwiatkowski? I think he did.
Yes,
and he's awesome now. He's really proven his role. So I think Pace definitely has some late round gems in him. I think he definitely doesn't undervalue talent as far as the draft goes later on. But moving on. I wish we could sit down and talk for 45 minutes about the quarterback situation because it's so interesting. But moving on to those 8 names, I don't want to try to beat you guys in the head, but off the head, if you guys can name your 8 names, who you got?
Let's see, if
those
Ryan
8 names.
Pace has 8 guys, I'm going to say who I think his 8 guys would be. I'll go with my guy, Marcus Davenport, Minka Fitzpatrick, Quentin Nelson, Tremaine Edmonds, Roquan Smith, Derwin James. I think that's 6. Let's say if Saquon Barkley's there, I think that's a consideration for the Bears, even though they have some running backs. And then I'll throw in a cornerback, Josh Jackson, just because go Hawks, right? But I think those are 8 names right now. They're on the board. Maybe Pace is looking at. He's comfortable with taking.
Okay, I'm gonna hop in next. Man, dude, it's tough. I've definitely got Chubb. I'm gonna toss in Davenport with him too, just because I feel like Pace. I feel like he's kind of stayed a little bit quiet as far as edge rusher goes, so I wouldn't be surprised. You got Fitzpatrick. You got Ward. Oh man, you got Nelson for sure. Can I even name 3 more? I'm so confident. You got Edmonds. You got Roquan. And that leaves room for 1 more. Oh, geez. Who's the other Notre Dame offensive lineman? Mike? Yeah, I wouldn't mind. He's been rising up the board, so I wouldn't mind him. I'm going to go hop over and grab my computer charger because it's almost dead. But, Jaylen, you got your 8?
My 8. Of course, Bradley Chubb, Quinn Nelson, Roquan, Tremaine, Denzel Ward, Harold Landry, Marcus Davenport, and who else? I'm gonna say Josh Jackson as well. He can definitely be in there.
Yeah, I mean he fits that Vic Fangio mold of cornerbacks. Maybe that's why the Bears would maybe like a Josh Jackson over Denzel Ward just because of height wise. But I mean both are going to be fantastic players in the league. So
yeah, dude, it's interesting. I feel like cornerbacks are a little bit overlooked in this draft. I feel like the cornerback race is actually pretty similar to the quarterback race, whereas there are so many great options, and it's hard to differ and say, hey, I'm going to choose this person over this person. I wouldn't even count Isaiah Oliver out. I think he's projected to probably go somewhere between 20 and 30, but I could see him probably going 11 through 19. It's such a toss-up. It's honestly a coin flip.
It's a really good class.
Okay, so moving on once again, Jalen's got some problems, but it's all right. So those were Pace's 8 names. No one knows who his 8 names are, honestly. I don't think any of us got it correct, honestly. Even Nick. I would be confident, dude, with Ryan Pace. But moving on just to like the draft spectrum and whole, it's a pretty broad question I've got next. We've got only a few more things to talk about, and we're gonna let Nick off the hook to go report some more off some stuff on his own. Okay, so Jaylen had to leave. He had some stuff to do, but I'm gonna continue this with Nick. We just talked about Pace's 8 names, and now we're going to go a bit of a more broad spectrum as far as the draft goes. But who do you guys are your most underrated player in the draft?
Man, underrated. That's a very good question. Are we talking in terms of maybe just first-round talent or just guys?
Anyone that you could see the Bears picking, any underrated picks, kind of off-the-radar picks that you would say, like, oh, they didn't bring him in for a meeting, but I could easily see them choosing this player?
Yeah, so a guy that I had mocked in my final mock draft, and a guy that's really been just moving up on the boards here, a guy named Shepard from Fort State. He's a defensive lineman, Nathan Shepard, a guy that's actually been compared from experts to Akeem Hicks. So it's a guy that obviously we're very familiar with, and if he has any kind of talent like that, that's going to be beneficial for any team really moving forward. But the Bears do need some depth on that defensive line. They did lose Mitch Unrein this offseason. Obviously, a guy that didn't do the best things, I would say, but he's still a good asset to have. So they're going to want to upgrade that position, want to get somebody else in there. I actually have him mocked in the 4th round. I doubt he's going to be there because he is that good of a player, even though he played at a smaller school. But yeah, that's Nathan Shepard, defensive tackle at Fort Hays State. Guy that, and what I've seen with Ryan Pace, he likes to get those guys that really worked up from maybe these smaller schools. You look at like a Tariq Cohen or something like that, where they really work at these smaller schools. Shaheen, exactly. And then they go and get drafted to obviously play in Chicago. So I think he's going to look at these smaller schools and, take a chance on a guy that has a lot of talent, that can really contribute, and to be, filling a need for this Bears team.
Yeah, so one I've got, and he probably would be, I'd say, a day 2 pick, 2nd round for sure, is receiver out of Maryland. We've got DJ Moore. He's pretty tiny. I think he's actually 5 foot something. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure.
I think 5'10", right around there.
His ability to get off blocks is absolutely incredible. He's really nice with his short area quickness. I don't have much analysis on him. I'm not as prepared as you are on the spot. But obviously some things I know about him. I've watched him for a few years. Both of us are Iowa Hawkeyes fans, but Maryland kind of sucks at football.
It's true. Very true.
I know his route running can improve very much, but he's actually rising on the boards as someone who could be taken higher than Calvin Ridley, higher than Cortland Sutton. I like Cortland Sutton a lot, also out of SMU. But, man, I think the Bears are definitely there's so many combinations when you think about how it's going to go. I think I would be comfortable with the Bears going with a receiver the first 2 rounds. And it's just basically, when it comes to that point, it's like, are you going to draft an offensive lineman first round or a defensive lineman first round? So is Vic Fangio going to get it? Is Mark Helfrich going to get it after getting all his help for Trubisky? Yeah, we'll see. It's I'm really anxious, man. I really am.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we don't know how this draft's going to play out. We can put as many mock drafts as we can, but it's probably not going to play out how we thought it was going to.
Yeah, well, you never know. Especially with Ryan Pace, you never know. But this is basically it. Just got one last question for you, kind of a personal question. I've watched you for years. Our other hosts, Parth and Jaylen, who just left, we watched you for years. You guys are great at what you do. So I just want to ask kind of in the podcast, you have any advice for us, just how to improve?
Oh, just keep working at it. I think each and every time you get on the podcast, after you're done with it, if you feel like there's a chance where, man, you know what, I messed up that analysis a little bit, or I could have, slowed things down to really enunciate a word or just get my thought out a little clearer, you write those notes down. So the next time you jump on the podcast, you want to, it was just the last podcast. I did a fist bump in the air and kind of yelled out, and I forgot who was it. My brother's like, what were you doing? I'm like, Sam, I just killed that podcast. You know why? Just because of the preparation that you put into it. As long as you keep that up and you're determined and you guys work at it each and every week. And, you look up to, us at the Bears Brothers. I look up to, Adam Hogan, Adam Johns. If you look up to those guys, take what they do each and every day and how they prepare, you'll definitely get there. I mean, that's all. It's just having that dedication, that work ethic, that hardworking mentality. No doubt about it. I mean, you're doing it way, way before I was doing podcasting. You're doing a fantastic job. So
awesome,
just keep up the hard work and you'll get there.
Hey, I appreciate it, dude. As I said earlier on in the podcast, all your social medias along with the link to the Bears Brothers podcast will be in the description. I'm sure we'll have you back along with your other brothers sometime soon. But I appreciate you reaching out and being so supportive. We'll see you back soon. I'll keep in contact with you. But thank you very much, and see you guys. Peace.